Daytona Beach, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
It may be weeks before the bodies of two accident victims who died on Grand Bay Wilmer Road are positively identified, but we can tell you who the men were tonight.
Fox 10 News reporter Renee Dials joining us in the studio with some new information on the wreck we first talked about this weekend. Renee?
Well, Anise and Bob, I just got an email from a family member from one of the victims just a few minutes ago, and they say they have been contacted by forensics office and they have a positive identification on these victims. One man was identified by his dental records, the other from some tattoos, and this is something they were not expecting for several weeks. Now, one of the victims is from the Birmingham area, the other from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and both men are being mourned tonight and they're being remembered.
Two wooden crosses were erected this morning at the site where the accident happened on Grand Bay Wilmer Road. 44-year-old Freddie Hollingsworth and 36-year-old Donnie Ridley were inside the car that crashed into the trees and burst into flames around 7:30 Saturday night.
He was about as good a guy as you can meet. His heart was as big as the world.
Bo Ridley is in charge of the music ministry at the Mission of Hope. Ridley says his brother arrived at the Christian-based drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility last Thursday.
He told me, he said, Bo, I want a place that I can get away from the life I'm living right now. And he told me that this was the place for him.
Hollingsworth had been at the facility for several months. After completing the 90-day program, he stayed on to help out in the halfway house, and Reverend Jim Jordan says he was making excellent progress.
I've talked to his employer this morning. He's on time every day to work and was going the extra mile, and they thought a lot of him. And I talked to his church family this morning, and they said he was in church every time the doors open, and Freddie was really doing good.
The flames from the fire reached all the way to the top of these pine trees, and the state trooper's report says the fire was so intense there wasn't enough left to positively identify the vehicle. So the identification of the bodies is going to take some time. But the Mission of Hope says it's moving forward with a memorial for the two men.
Thursday at 11 o'clock, we're having a memorial service for both of these men in our chapel. And some of their family members will be here, their employers and people that really cared about them will be here to help us do that.
Family members will be present at the memorial. However, the family burial will have to wait until the remains are released.
We're going to wait till we get the report back and completely identify that it is my brother, which I already know that it is. But we're going to have one at his home church in Birmingham, Alabama, following the report that we get.
And good news for those families. They should be receiving those remains soon after having a positive identification made late today. Now, state troopers say the men were likely returning to the mission, and they believe that speed was a factor in that accident. They are still investigating.
Alabama state troopers are also